All right, so lots to cover regarding the 3AC situation. A lot has come out just since the video I made yesterday. Sort of getting more into the nitty-gritty details. The dominoes are starting to fall. And what I mean by that is when you have an organization that is as big as Three Arrows Capital, when they start going under, they drag a lot of companies with them because those are the people that they either owed money or were heavily involved with. Maybe they were the funding partner for that organization. And when you lose that, your business goes under too. So everyone's kind of calculating the risk that they had with 3AC and what would happen if they go completely insolvent. And so we're going to cover that. There's also a thread that popped up accusing Three Arrows Capital of taking money from them in order to pay back some of this debt. So we're going to cover all this, so definitely stick around. Our man, Fat Man, is on the case as well. So for those of you who don't know, Fat Man is an account that has been covering the Luna situation pretty heavily. It's an anonymous account, so we don't know who's behind it, but we're pretty sure that they are some sort of insider in the space. They definitely know what they're talking about. And so, again, they posted this clip that Sue put up. And so I'm going to play that clip, and then we're going to go through it.
We, generally speaking, try to be as unconstrained as possible in a mentality where, we're taking direct principal risk. So that means that we also want to be able to make decisions that other people might not be able to make very quickly, where we can say, this is a good opportunity, this is a good trade, and just be able to do it.
Okay, so in Fat Man's thread, he says he's totally resisting the urge to say we are degens, isn't he? So in that clip, Sue's basically saying they had a lot of leveraged positions is kind of what it came down to. They didn't de-risk fast enough, which is sort of where people are pointing the finger at them saying like, dude, this is, you got put in a rough place by Luna and Celsius, but ultimately this is your guys' fault because you were putting on too much risk too soon. And like I said, they were buying what was almost the peak of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So just remember that. And then Fat Man goes on, he says he is so unconstrained that sometimes when a good opportunity arises, he will also take money out of other people's trading accounts. You call it theft. Here at 3AC, we call this high flexibility. So a little bit of a stab there at 3AC. But to his point, this is what they did. And as far allegedly, and what he is referring to is this thread right here from Danny. This is at Danny8BC on Twitter. This thread popped up after the 3AC situation kind of arose, and it says, I'm going to read through the thread, explain it a little bit as we go, okay? So what happened between 3AC and us and what we know so far, adding Suzu and Cal Davies, the co-founders of Three Arrows Capital. From November 2020, we entered into an agreement with 3AC in which we would pay them a fee to use their trading accounts. So for these smaller funds, they typically partner up with a bigger fund because the more volume you do in trading on exchanges, the better rates you get, okay? So the fees might be less if you do a lot more volume. So a lot of these smaller guys will use the big guys' accounts so that they can trade for a smaller fee. That's basically what that is. It's sort of a win-win for everybody. But the issue there is that Three Arrows Capital now has access to this Danny guy's account. As a delta neutral market maker in the crypto markets, we are very sensitive to trading fees. When you are trading 9 figures in USD per day, even 1 BIP on 100 million is $10,000. If you're doing that every day, it adds up a lot very quickly. So again, if he's doing that on his own, you pay a lot in fees. So get reduced fees by partnering with a bigger fund. That's basically the idea behind it. So our agreement with them was we withdraw whenever we want. 100% of the P&L belongs to us. They are never to move our funds without permission. And in return, we pay them fees for their service. This was a mutually beneficial relationship for over 1.5 years. We had known them since 2018, thought they were competent, and didn't think that they were degen enough to lose billions and not employ basic risk management. On June 12th, with the market dropping and needing some more funds from the account for positions on other exchanges, we asked for a withdrawal from the ops team, which was honored. On June 13th, with the continuation of the drop, we asked for a bigger withdrawal. There was no reply. We didn't think much of it at the time. After a while, the market stabilized. We no longer needed the funds. We thought maybe they were just busy. Fast forward to 24 hours ago, our fund's monitoring script noticed that about $1 million was missing from our accounts with them. I believe that's $1 million. We reached out to Kyle Davies, the ops team on Telegram, about the missing funds. No replies. We tried calling them. They were online. They didn't pick up. Then our traders noticed that there was a few rumors circulating on Twitter speculating that 3AC's insolvency. Since we were directly involved, we felt the need to tell the world about what had occurred and gauge the extent of the 3AC contagion. A lot of people have reached out about what they know, many of whom have direct relationships with 3AC as well. What we learned is that they were leveraged long everywhere, were getting margin calls. Instead of answering the margin calls, they ghosted everyone. The platforms had no choice but to liquidate their positions, causing the market to further dump. So what it sounds like happened is that they got margin called and they weren't liquid enough, maybe because of the Luna situation. That could be their excuse or reason. But they weren't liquid enough, meaning they didn't have enough cash on hand to pay back those margin calls and get their accounts back in good standing. So what happened was they ended up getting liquidated. And for those of you, when you get liquidated, they basically market sell all the tokens that you had in your position. So in this case, it was mostly ETH from my understanding. So they went, market sold all that ETH, which further drives the price of ETH down. So if they had other positions out there, which they did, it drives those into liquidation or getting margin called. And it's just a chain reaction, which is what it sounds like sort of happened here. All right. However, they still have assets on a number of platforms. You know who you are. We call you to freeze their assets so that those who 3ACOs can get paid back in the future after legal proceedings. For what it's worth, for the most part, they aren't speculating with clients' money like Celsius was. Maybe a thread another day about dealing with them in 2019. However, they did use our funds, about $1 million USD, to answer their margin calls. Losing a bet is one thing, but at least be honorable and not drag others into your bets who have nothing to do with it. Certainly don't ghost on everyone, since potentially they could have helped you. And then Fat Man saw this thread, commented on it as well. He said, heard a similar story from one of the other trading parties. 3AC owes them money, but Kyle is completely uncontactable. Hope you guys get your money back. This is unacceptable behavior. So for those of you who don't understand the situation, again, they didn't have enough cash on hand. And so this guy who was partnered with 3AC using their trading account, again, 3AC had access to his account. So what they did was took some of his money to pay back some of these other margin positions or pay the margin calls to get themselves out of hot water. But basically, we're taking their money. And it sounds like they're not the only ones that this happened to through 3AC. And now they're unreachable. So they're probably seeking legal advice is what it seems. Like I said, we did have that video from Sue, but I don't think that was recently. I think that was a bit ago. I'm not sure how long ago that video came out is, so just keep that in mind. And there is some speculation in here. Obviously, we don't know who this Danny guy is. We've done some research. It does seem, he is part of a fund. But at this point, we don't have any really solid based factual information really to base this on. We're just kind of going with what we can collect from Twitter and other resources. So it does seem very likely, though, and the fact that Suzu and Kyle Davies are no longer contactable kind of adds to the speculation a bit, and it just kind of makes it seem like maybe these guys are all right. They're telling the truth, and 3AC is in a lot of trouble, not just financially, but now it seems like it might be legally. So going back to the dominoes falling, though, Finblocks just put out a memo sort of deal here, and it says, to our valued users, we have been closely monitoring market conditions and numerous media reports regarding a prominent institutional borrower, 3 Arrows Capital, who is also an investor of Finblocks. We've been cooperating with 8. So anyways, they're talking about the risk associated with them through 3AC. I'm not going to read this whole article. You guys can check it out. I'll try to post a link down in the description. But basically, again, 3AC had its hand in a lot of projects, a lot of funds, a lot of people. So when they go under or they are going insolvent, that affects a ton of people. So again, the dominoes are starting to fall on that, and we'll see really, I think over the next week and a half, 2 weeks, who is really going to be affected by this, because they will start going under as well or end up with major issues. So just wanted to update you guys on the situation. Again, we're doing the best we can with what the information we have is. Not really making any massive judgments for ourselves right now, just sort of collecting data and just trying to see and get the full story. But again, it's hard to get the full story when Sue and Cal Davies aren't talking. So this is what we know so far. So again, we'll continue to keep you guys updated. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.